Good morning, Arvada. This is CO2 News. There has been some new developments in the battle of global warming. A few respected scientists have made some new personal claims into global warming. We will now go to Joel Mayer Anderson for a rundown of what is happening.
Thanks, Greg. Last night, a few respected scientists made new personal claims about global warming. These claims may change the way people think about global warming. We will now interview the scientist Roger Graham-Berry from the National Snow and Ice Data Center.
Interview?
Right. Hi. Go ahead.
All right, so let's start off with what's your personal opinion on global warming and climate change?
It's definitely human-caused. I'm in line with 97% of scientists.
And why do you think that global warming is not accepted by everyone, and why some people are so against it?
Largely because of false advertising by the oil and coal industries, exactly what the tobacco industry did 40 years ago.
So do you think it's possible to reverse global warming?
It's possible to slow it, but whether or not it can be reversed, absolutely, I doubt that it can be reversed totally. They're now talking that the emissions that have been, the emission cuts that have been pledged by the various nations would allow a rise of about 2.7 degrees C before it begins to level off at that. That's above today's level.
So what is the greatest cause of global warming?
Greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide is about 3/4 of it. Methane, which is a much more potent greenhouse gas, is about 20%, and then there's nitrous oxides and other things that make up 100%.
Some people say that there's so little that's being put in, so little greenhouse gases that we are putting in the atmosphere that it isn't having any effect. Do you, believe this?
No, that's total nonsense. The natural level was about 300 ppm around the 1900. Today it's 400 ppm. Methane has increased by 2.5 times since before the Industrial Revolution, and methane has about 25 times the warming effect of carbon dioxide.
What solutions do you suggest to reduce global warming?
Well, stop burning fossil fuels, particularly coal, as soon as possible. Stop burning oil. It'll take about 30 or 40 years to have renewables at the same level as the fossil fuels are today, but we need to be accelerating that now, and most countries in the world are. Germany and Denmark are heavily renewable. Morocco has just built a huge solar plant in the Sahara Desert. It's building 3 more. The U.S. has been slow, but it's beginning to catch up. China is very actively building solar and also wind farms. The U.S. is also building wind farms. If you go to eastern Colorado or Kansas, you'll see large ones.
What renewable energy source do you think is the best option for the U.S. to use to reduce burning of fossil fuels?
I think you need a combination. Hydropower is a problem because in California there's very little hydropower at the moment due to the drought. Wind has problems of variable wind speed, but if wind at least blows all the time, usually. Solar, the major problem is storing overnight, and so we need better storage batteries, but it's going to take a combination, probably of mainly solar and wind. In some parts of the world, wave energy, tidal power is also used. There are some experimental plants, I think off the west coast and also in Scotland. And there's a few tidal plants around, but they're mostly experimental.
Hang on a second. Can you, where does, methane gas come from?
A variety of sources. It comes from cows, it comes from rice paddies, wetlands, permafrost thawing is releasing methane. So it's a variety of artificial, mostly artificial, but some natural. Probably about half of it is natural from wetlands, and about the other half is from paddy rice and cattle.
That's all the questions I have for you. So thank you for agreeing to do this interview for us.
Sure. Do you have any questions about sea level rise? That's another big issue.
Well, what are the effects of sea level rise?
Well, flood most of Miami by 2100, half of Florida, probably. It depends on the melting of the ice sheets, but we can expect big changes in Bangladesh on the coast, where hundreds of thousands of people live, and also in Miami and Louisiana.
Also, at the rate things are going now with climate change and global warming, when do you think, this flooding will occur?
Well, it's going to be going on steadily all the time. I mean, if you took Hurricane Sandy, which caused a huge storm surge, flooded half of New York, half of Manhattan, the problem is it's not just sea level on its own. It's if you combine it with East Coast storms with onshore winds, then you get a huge storm surge, and that would certainly affect places like the Barrier Islands and Carolinas and much of the East Coast.
So as global warming continues, all of these hurricanes and natural disasters are going to get worse?
Yeah, it'll be a cumulative effect, yeah.
Will these new developments pan out as expected, or will new arguments appear? Only time will tell. Now back to you, Greg.
Now, for those of you that didn't know, global warming is a gradual increase in the overall Earth's temperature of the atmosphere. Global sea level has increased by roughly 8 inches over the past century, and the rate of increase is accelerating. Global warming causes sea level rise in 2 ways. 1. Ocean water is expanding as it warms. Also, land-based ice in glaciers and ice sheets is melting. Recent projections are accurate. 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit warming could bring about 3 feet of global sea level rise by 2100, displacing approximately 56 million people in 84 developing countries. This is all for CO2 News today. We hope you have learned a lot on global warming and climate change. Now, don't forget, stay classy, Arvada.